The execution chamber had no windows. That was the first thing Elias Vance noticed when the alien guards dragged him inside. The second was the child. She was standing beside the throne. Small, silent, terrified. And when her bright silver eyes met his, she whispered one word that made the entire royal court freeze. Father. Elias stopped walking. For 3 years, he had been the only human doctor living on the moon world of Karesh. He had treated soldiers, workers, explorers, and even members of the royal family. But he had never seen that child before. And he definitely was not her father. Yet the guards holding his arms suddenly tightened their grip. Above him, Queen Sereth slowly rose from her throne. Her long black armor reflected the cold blue lights of the chamber. 2 curved antennae moved above her head, trembling with anger. "Human," the queen said. Her voice echoed through the hall. "You have been brought here to answer for the corruption of my daughter." Elias stared at her. "What?" A wave of clicking sounds moved through the gathered aliens. The Karesh were an ancient species. Their empire controlled dozens of systems, and their royal bloodline had ruled for thousands of years. They believed purity was strength. They believed change was dangerous. And now every powerful figure in the empire was staring at one human medic like he had committed the greatest crime in their history. The queen pointed toward the child. "Princess Nira was born weak," she said. "Her body was failing. Her heart stopped 7 months ago." Elias remembered. The memory came back instantly. A small emergency chamber. Alarms screaming. Alien doctors arguing in panic. And a tiny royal child dying on a metal table. Elias had been called because no one else knew what to do. "She was dying," Elias said quietly. "You touched her blood. I treated her. You changed her." The queen's voice became louder. A massive screen appeared behind the throne. Strange symbols filled it. Elias could not read most of them, but he understood the image in the center. A genetic scan. One side belonged to Princess Nira. The other belonged to him. And between them was something impossible. A connection. Elias felt his stomach drop. "No," he whispered. A royal scientist stepped forward. His name was Threx. Elias had worked beside him for years. But today, Threx would not look him in the eyes. "When Princess Nira's organs began shutting down," Threx said, "Dr. Vance introduced an experimental biological stabilizer." Elias shook his head. It was not experimental. Human biological material was included in the treatment. Only microscopic cellular fragments. It was supposed to help her immune system accept the medicine. Threx finally looked at him. And it did. The chamber became silent. Elias looked at the princess. She looked different from the other Karesh. Her skin carried their deep blue markings, but her eyes were larger. Her fingers were more flexible. And she was watching everything. Not like a child. Like she understood. "She survived," Elias said. Threx lowered his head. "She did more than survive." The screen changed. A series of tests appeared. Strength, speed, healing, brain activity. Every result was far above normal. The princess had abilities no Karesh child should possess. "She can recover from wounds in hours," Threx said. "She has survived diseases that killed entire colonies. Her neural growth is developing at an impossible rate." An angry voice came from the council. "Because she is contaminated." Several members struck their claws against the floor. "Destroy the mutation." Elias turned toward them. "She is not a mutation." The guards immediately pulled him back. One of the generals stepped forward. "She carries foreign biological patterns. If she becomes queen, the royal bloodline will be destroyed." Elias looked at the little princess. She was shaking now. Everyone was talking about her. Everyone was deciding what should happen to her. But nobody was asking her what she wanted. Then something strange happened. Nira pulled away from her royal caretaker. The entire chamber watched as she walked toward Elias. The guards moved to stop her. The queen raised a claw. "Let her go." The princess continued forward, step by step, until she stood directly in front of the human prisoner. Elias dropped to one knee. "Hello," he said softly. Nira studied his face. Then she reached up and touched his cheek, the same way a human child might touch someone familiar. Elias felt something move inside his chest. He did not understand why. He had only treated her once. But somehow she knew him. Then the princess smiled. The entire chamber exploded into panic. Karesh children did not smile. Not naturally. Not until adulthood. The queen stared at her daughter as if she had seen a ghost. And Nira spoke again. This time, everyone heard her clearly. "Do not hurt him." The royal court fell completely silent. Then an alarm began screaming. Red lights flashed across the chamber. A guard rushed through the main doors. "Your Majesty!" The queen turned. "What is happening?" The guard's body trembled. "A fleet has entered the system." "Whose fleet?" The guard looked toward Elias. Then back at the queen. "The Draxian Dominion." Every Karesh in the chamber froze. Elias knew that name. The Draxians were not diplomats. They were conquerors. And their empire had been searching for something hidden inside Karesh territory for decades. Something ancient. Something valuable. The guard continued. "They are demanding the princess." The queen's eyes slowly turned toward Nira. Then toward Elias. And for the first time since he had entered the chamber, Elias understood the truth. This was never only about a child. Someone had discovered what Princess Nira had become. And now an entire alien empire was coming to take her. The queen stepped down from her throne. Her anger was gone. Fear had replaced it. She looked directly at Elias. "Human," she said, "you are no longer on trial." Elias slowly stood. The queen's next words changed everything. "You are now responsible for keeping my daughter alive." Outside the chamber, the first explosions began. And somewhere beyond the moon of Karesh, thousands of enemy ships were closing in. Elias looked down at the little princess. She grabbed his hand. Then she smiled again, and whispered something that made his blood turn cold. "They are not coming for me." Elias stared at her. "Then who are they coming for?" Nira looked directly into his eyes. "For you." The first missile struck Karesh before Elias could ask another question. The palace shook violently. Crystal walls cracked. Members of the royal council screamed as emergency lights flooded the chamber. Elias lifted Princess Nira into his arms. "Hold on." She wrapped her small arms around his neck. But she did not look afraid. That frightened Elias more than anything. Queen Sereth moved toward a military commander. "Activate the planetary shield." The commander lowered his head. "Your Majesty, the first strike destroyed the northern shield generators." Another explosion shook the floor. The Draxian fleet had not come to negotiate. They had come prepared. Within minutes, the royal palace became a fortress. Guards sealed every entrance. Warships launched from hidden platforms beneath the city. Elias followed the queen through a protected corridor while alarms screamed above them. "Why are they coming for me?" he demanded. Queen Sereth did not answer. "Your Majesty, I do not know enough yet." "You clearly know something." The queen suddenly stopped. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she looked at Nira. "My daughter is connected to you." Elias frowned. "I know." "No. You do not understand." The queen pressed her claw against a wall. A hidden door opened. Behind it was a dark laboratory. Inside stood machines older than the Karesh Empire itself. Elias stared at them. "What is this place?" "A secret." The queen entered. 2,000 years ago, our ancestors discovered something beneath this moon. A massive metal object stood in the center of the laboratory. It looked like a door. But there was no handle. No visible opening. Only a symbol. Elias stepped closer. Then his heart stopped. He recognized it. Not perfectly, but enough. The symbol looked human. Impossible. "What is that?" Elias whispered. The queen's antennae lowered. "We do not know." She touched the surface. "It has been here longer than our oldest records." Nira reached toward it. The door suddenly glowed. Every machine in the laboratory activated. Elias stepped back. What did she do? The Queen looked shocked. She has never made it react before. The glowing symbol changed. A new message appeared. This time Elias could read it. Because it was written in English. Authorized genetic signature detected. Welcome, human. Nobody moved. Elias stared at the words. That cannot be real. Then the ancient door opened. A cold wind rushed from the darkness beyond. The room behind it was not a room. It was a starship. An ancient human starship. Elias walked forward slowly. Dust covered everything. The technology was unlike anything modern humanity used. But the language was clear. Human. Queen Sereth watched him. Now you understand why I could not tell you. Elias looked at her. No. I understand even less. A voice suddenly filled the ship. Genetic authorization confirmed. The lights came alive. Primary human descendant detected. Elias froze. Then the ship said something even stranger. Secondary hybrid successor detected. Nira tightened her grip on his hand. The Queen stared at her daughter. The truth was becoming clear. Nira had not simply survived Elias's treatment. Something inside his human biology had activated something hidden inside her. The ancient ship had been waiting for both of them. Then the laboratory ceiling exploded. Draxian soldiers crashed through the smoke. The Karesh guards opened fire. Blue energy filled the room. Elias grabbed Nira and ran. The Queen shouted after him. Get her to the ship. But where? The Queen pointed toward the darkness. Anywhere it takes you. A blast threw Elias against a wall. He protected Nira with his body. The child looked at him. You are hurt. I'm fine. You are lying. Despite everything, Elias almost laughed. Then the ancient ship's voice spoke again. Pilot required. A control panel appeared. Elias stared at it. I am a doctor. Pilot required. I said I'm a doctor. Nira placed her small hand on the panel. The entire ship woke up. Elias heard engines beginning to roar beneath the floor. Outside, Draxian soldiers were getting closer. The ancient ship began to move. Walls shifted. The floor opened beneath them. And suddenly, Elias understood. The ship was not buried under Karesh. Karesh had been built around it. The entire royal capital was sitting on top of an ancient human vessel. The ground split open. The palace began collapsing. Queen Sereth appeared at the entrance. Go! Elias stared at her. What about you? I am their queen. My place is here. Nira reached toward her mother. Mother! For one painful second, Sereth looked ready to abandon everything. Then she stepped back. The ship rose. Stone and metal exploded around it. Elias watched through the opening as the queen disappeared beneath the smoke. The ancient vessel broke free from the moon. Draxian warships immediately turned toward it. Hundreds of weapons locked onto them. Elias grabbed the controls. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Nira looked up at him. I do. Elias turned. The little princess was smiling. Then every screen on the ship changed. A map of the galaxy appeared. One location was flashing. Earth. The ancient voice returned. Returning successor to origin. Elias felt his blood turn cold. The Draxians had not attacked Karesh because they wanted the princess. They had attacked because they knew something humanity had forgotten. Something hidden inside human blood. And now the last ship capable of revealing that secret was flying directly toward Earth. Behind them, the Draxian fleet followed. Ahead of them was a planet with no idea what was coming. Then a message appeared on the main screen. Warning! Enemy fleet exceeds defensive capacity. Humanity will not survive first contact. Elias stared at the words. And far behind them, Princess Nira quietly said the one thing he did not want to hear. Then we have to teach them how. Earth looked peaceful from space. Too peaceful. Elias Vance stood on the bridge of the ancient ship and stared at the blue planet below. Billions of people were living normal lives. They had no idea that an alien invasion fleet was moving toward them. They had no idea that a human doctor and an alien princess were their only warning. Princess Nera stood beside Elias. "They do not know," she said. "No," Elias answered. "Then we tell them." The ancient ship opened every communication channel it could find. Satellites, military networks, news stations, and private systems all received the same signal. Across Earth, screens suddenly changed. Elias appeared. "My name is Elias Vance," he said. "And if you can see this message, Earth is in danger." At first, nobody believed him. Then the sky changed. A massive Draxian warship appeared near the moon. Humanity finally understood. Panic spread across the planet. Governments contacted each other. Military forces prepared for war. Scientists studied the ancient ship. But everyone asked the same question. How could Earth fight an enemy that had conquered entire star systems? Elias looked at the planet. "We fight the way humans always fight." Nera turned toward him. "How?" Elias smiled. "We improvise." The Draxians attacked first. Human ships were old compared to alien technology. Their weapons were weaker. Their defenses were limited. But the Draxians had made a terrible mistake. They believed humans would fight by following predictable rules. Humans did not. Engineers turned mining equipment into weapons. Civilian satellites became communication networks. Old machines were rebuilt in hours. Every time the Draxians discovered a human strategy, humans created another one. Nera watched the battle in silence. "They are afraid," she said. "Yes." "Then why do they keep fighting?" Elias looked toward Earth. "Because fear does not mean you run away." The first human victory came when a group of engineers used old cargo ships as decoys. The Draxians destroyed them, believing they had eliminated a military fleet. But the real weapons were hidden inside the asteroids. The enemy ships were caught in a storm of human missiles. Several Draxian vessels exploded. For the first time, the invaders slowed down. But their flagship continued forward. It was enormous. One blast from its main weapon destroyed 3 human defense stations. Another hit Elias's ancient ship. The bridge shook violently. Nera fell to the floor. Elias rushed toward her. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head. But the ship's voice answered before she could speak. "Critical system failure." Elias looked at the controls. "We cannot fight them." Nera stepped forward. "Yes, we can." She placed her hand on the glowing control panel. Nothing happened. Then she looked at Elias. "It needs you too." Elias understood. The ship had accepted his human DNA. It had accepted Nera because she carried both human and Karesh biology. Neither of them was enough alone. Together, they were the key. Elias placed his hand beside hers. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire ship began to shake. Golden light rushed through the walls. A voice echoed through every room. "Successor protocol activated." Across the solar system, something began to wake up. Ancient machines. Hidden stations. Silent satellites. Objects buried beneath Earth's oceans and hidden on distant moons. Humanity had left weapons behind. Not because the ancient humans wanted war, but because they knew one day the Draxians would return. The truth appeared on the main screen. Thousands of years ago, humans had traveled among the stars. Then they disappeared. They returned to Earth and allowed their history to be forgotten. But they had prepared for the future. And now, that future had arrived. The ancient defenses activated. The Draxian flagship stopped. Every weapon on the enemy fleet suddenly shut down. One by one, their ships became powerless. Human forces surrounded them. The Draxian commander sent a message. "Why did you not destroy us?" Elias looked at Nera. She smiled. Then Elias answered, "Because humans are dangerous when we have to fight." He paused. "But we are strongest when we choose not to." The Draxian fleet surrendered. Earth survived. But Elias knew the story was not over. 3 days later, a damaged Karesh ship entered Earth's orbit. Queen Sereth was alive. Nera ran toward her mother. For the first time, the powerful queen dropped to her knees. She held her daughter tightly. Elias quietly turned away. But the queen called his name. Human. He stopped. Sereth looked at him with tears in her eyes. My people believed you had corrupted my daughter. Nera stepped beside Elias. The queen slowly shook her head. We were wrong. Nera was not a mistake. She was proof that 2 different worlds could become stronger together. Months later, Earth and the Karesh Empire signed their first true alliance. Elias returned to medicine, but his life was never normal again. He became an advisor between 2 civilizations. And Princess Nera visited him almost every day. One evening, they stood together inside the ancient ship. Nera looked at Elias. Do you remember when I called you father? Elias laughed. Yes. I was almost executed because of it. She smiled. I did not understand the word then. And now? Nera looked toward the stars. Now I know. She took his hand. A father is someone who protects you, even when he does not have to. Elias could not answer for several seconds. Then he smiled. Around them, the stars stretched into endless darkness. But humanity was no longer alone. The galaxy had finally learned the truth. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the oldest. They did not have the greatest weapons. But there was something humanity possessed that frightened every empire. When a human had someone to protect, fear became courage. Weakness became strength. And impossible odds became just another problem waiting to be solved. Princess Nera stood beside the human who had saved her life. A child born between 2 worlds. A bridge between species. And proof that the future did not belong to the purest bloodline. It belonged to those brave enough to stand together. And as Earth opened its doors to the stars, the galaxy understood one final lesson. Never underestimate humanity. Especially when humanity has a family to protect.